Hey everybody, I am not Kevin Pollak, but this is Kevin Pollak's chat show. Nothing is on the teleprompter, so I can't tell you about this amazing product. The amazing product is our new sponsor, Oyster Books, and I'm really excited about these guys because think about it like this. Do you like Netflix? Well, it's Netflix for books. Oyster is a beautifully designed subscription-based app that gives you access to read unlimited ebooks for only $9.95, not even $9.99 a month. They have everything from The Hobbit to Stephen King to thousands of New York Times bestsellers and even Oprah's picks. So head on over to oysterbooks.com/Kevin for your first month free. Oyster, the world is yours for the reading. Hey everybody, I am Paul Scheer, guest hosting the Kevin Pollak chat show. It's a very big, exciting honor for me to do this, and very excited for our guest today. But before we start the show, get into it, let's check in with you guys. How was your 4th of July?
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. Well, first off, we're very, very happy to have you here.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, my 4th of July was great. I started it by doing some shopping at Trader Joe's.
Oh, nice.
On the actual 4th?
No, I was there on the 3rd.
Okay.
But I'm not insane.
I was just...
but...
Because I did a Smart and Final run.
Oh, all right.
On the 3rd.
I was at the...
I went early. That was my
you have to go early.
I went early.
I did Trader Joe's on the 3rd in Studio City, and as I was walking in, out of the corner of my eye, I was like, oh, I think I see Paul Scheer getting out of an SUV.
Right.
And I was like, oh, is that Paul? And so I changed my angle, and I started walking towards it, and then you walked around to the back of the car, and you opened the back passenger door,
yeah.
And then you took what had to have been a 7-year-old child out of a car seat, and picked him up in your arms.
That's my alternate life. You caught into my alternate life.
I totally saw your secret family.
My secret family, we have a great time. My kid is really super smart. I still hold him even though he's 7. Does
Awfully
not like
big.
it. Does not like it at all. But I take him out to Trader Joe's once a week, and we have a great time.
Yes.
They think I own a winery, so they're really lovely.
I didn't say hello because I didn't want to bother you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like to be bothered with my secret family. My 7-year-old son, my older wife. She's 57,
she
but
looked
she's
great.
Amazing woman, strong woman, very into crystals. We have a great time together. So you were at the Trader Joe's, but what did you do on the 4th though? Did you do anything fun on the 4th?
I did some grilling and some watching of The Orphan Black on BBC
nice.
America.
Did you watch season 1 or season 2?
I'm just starting with season 1.
Have you seen season 2 of this show?
No, I have not seen any of the show.
Okay, season 1 is great. I'm mixed on season 2. I want someone, and maybe this is a good thing for the people on Twitter. Am I wrong in saying that season 2 is not as good as season 1? I don't know.
I'll be happy to let you know shortly.
All right, please do.
Yeah.
I recently had a baby. And
congratulations!
Thank you very much. He's not 7, but he's 8 weeks, and so now everything is dictated by family things. So I went to a kid 4th of July party. So there's a lot of screaming kids, and you feel better about yourself because all the terrible instincts that you're a terrible parent, your kid cries too much, you get validation because everybody's kids are like that. It's kind of a great way to do it. I feel like you should like if you were nerdy in high school, nerdy kids should go to other nerdy, like they should meet up and form parties because I think you feel more confident about yourself.
College was like. It was like I was always like the nerdy one in high school, and then I went to college and I was like, oh wait, everyone's just like me.
See, then that's a good thing. You get that kind of buoyed. You get moved up in the world. Well, I'm glad to see that you guys are here, and you will be guiding me through this next however long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the in-depth Kevin Pollak show interview, but I'm going to try.
I say we beat the record. We go 250.
Well, I'm very excited about our first guest. First guest right here. Boom. This is a comedian who I am a huge fan of, but I'm often actually very nervous to talk to because I'm afraid that he would, if I said something dumb, you would be upset with me. No. So he's written a great book. It's called The Todd Glass Situation. You've seen him everywhere, and you listen to his podcast on the Nerdist Network. Please welcome Todd Glass.
Thank you. How are you?
Great to see you.
Just like Charlie Rose.
I know, it's really nice.
There's something about this table. I'm like
Charlie Rose with shorts.
Yes.
Both of us.
I know.
We both thought that would be from the waist up.
Now, Paul, before we start, let's establish some camera rules here.
Yeah.
Wherever these guys are. Let's not get too close. I'm not, afraid. The hair looks good. Okay, everything's good.
I feel like I really was believing that this is all you were going to see. This is
I know,
not
me too. That's why the monitor. Sometimes when my family members will see me on television looking at the monitor, they go, "Oh, don't all shows have monitors?" Because they see me look.
Yeah.
I go, and I can never stop looking at it. I don't know why. I've been doing this a long time, but if there's a monitor, I like. You
want to see what's going. It's
actually okay. Is that what I look like?
You look great. You look like it looks like the kiss cam, or the thing like that at the baseball game where everyone's like they want to see themselves on that screen, but they gotta look for it too, so they effectively don't get on ever. It's the most upsetting thing. It's like I'm on it, but then they're not on it. So.
It's very hard to get to go like. No, because you never win.
You can never get in two places at once.
How quick could I go? If I maybe.
It is like we are like dumb birds or monkeys like that.
So let's forget about that.
All right, forget about that. We have monitors. This is the question I wanted to ask you right off the bat.
Cool, I like it.
You have an impressive career. I mean, you have been doing stand-up for a very, very long time. But I imagine now, this is my question. I'm not even putting precursor on it. Best experience in your entire showbiz career and worst experience in your entire showbiz career? Like, what jumps to your mind?
That's a good question because the best, sometimes I think, it's like there's been other good things that have happened, but for some reason, and I do talk about it in the book.
Sure.
I see authors do that a lot, so I've been doing it a lot. I talk about it in the book, and let's not. Who cares about the book? Let's just put that right over there.
Well, let me talk about it, but even before you answer, put the book up here because people should know.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I'm not.
You gotta know about this.
Can I tell you? Let me answer your questions.
All right, and then and I have some questions about the book.
I said on the way here, let Paul interview you. Don't take over.
Please.
Sometimes it's fun when you're doing a local Arizona morning show.
And you just run ragged.
Oh, yeah, because that's what people at home need.
Yeah.
And by the way, you would think everyone loves it because they're bored out of their goddamn minds.
If you're watching local news, the most exciting thing is to see someone take over these people.
Right.
Did you know that local newscasters are the most killed people in that's the most dangerous profession? Because if you're in Arizona, you're like a local newscaster. So psychopaths watch you morning, noon, and night, but you also have no security because you're just on Arizona TV. So you're at the mall and you're out at the local, Chili's.
Yeah, that's weird.
So people go bonkers and they kill all these people. I saw a documentary on it on MSNBC, where people go off and kill local news anchors. By a ton.
That's a good idea. I never thought about it. Get a close up of that face.
But so they are really doing the hardest job in the world. These guys.
I saw, and I will answer your question.
Please, we'll get to it.
I saw a weather guy once go. He goes, so it's going to be about this day, that day. It's going to be this series. Sunday we're going to try to warm it up for you. Shut up! What do you mean you're going to try to warm it up? You don't. You just do. You don't have any control. We're going to try to warm it up.
Well, he's got sent some emails into the Weather Bureau, and they can move the satellite.
Weather. Yeah. So to answer your question, even though there have been things that have maybe been, maybe if you first time I did maybe my half-hour special or something like that, but hands down, and was when I was about, I think 19, I opened up for Patti LaBelle.
Okay,
and
this is amazing.
I didn't know who she was.
Where were you at 19? Where were you as a comedian? Did you feel like I got this, or are you still low?
Well, it was almost like I was talking to you guys before the show, somebody that's not here and another guy outside. There's a lot of people in this studio.
Yep.
And people talking. The best part about this show is that you have a guy that talks over the speaker.
Yeah, this is like a professional thing. Yeah.
Can you say something?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hey, there it goes.
So I started comedy at 16.
Okay.
So 19, I've been doing it 3 years.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to do it, but
Yeah.
it sort of fell upon me. Well, I'll give you a quick story before that.
Please.
When I was about a year before that, man, that's so weird. I was probably 18.
Yeah.
And I worked at this place called the Valley Forge Music Fair, where I would direct traffic.
Okay.
And seat people. I was an usher.
Sure.
And we directed traffic. I was like, wore a vest.
Did you do like funny kind of directing traffic?
No, I was more like totally got off on the power of it. Like I would
Making
hold
people
car. Stop. I'm like, thought I looked cool.
By the way, the best job for an 18-year-old to have is to be able to tell people to stop and go. That is the dream.
It doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
We thought, and by the way, I don't want you to think I was running panel stories by you, Sam, before the show.
I understand.
I was telling him about this before the show. And then the owner would always see me, because I was friends with his son, the owner of the Valley Forge Music Fair. There's also one in Westbury. And he'd be like, hey, are you ready yet? Are you ready? And I'd say no. And then George Jones was coming into town, and he didn't have an opening act. So he saw me at Denny's.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, hey, and I was like, I just said, no, I'm not ready. But then, I don't know if he thought I was being modest or not. He called the comedy club.
Right.
And I got booked for George Jones to open for him. And I only had to do 10, 12 minutes.
Okay.
Now, they didn't know that that's all I had, barely.
Right, yeah.
So about maybe a week before, because this was 2 weeks out, I got the job, he would call me and casually go, yeah, you'll do 10, 15. And I was like, huh? And then it went up to 20, and then I started to get really nervous.
Yeah, that's and also a big jump to say like, this is going to appeal to the audience that's here to see Patti LaBelle too. Like,
this was George Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, but same thing.
But it'd be like, all right, so you'll get 20 minutes of something like. That's a tough order. Even today, that would be a tough order.
Yes, yeah, and I would have probably not even thought. You're right. I would have thought of that. Like, does this audience want to see me, even if I'm the best at my game?
Exactly.
So here I'm not, and do they want to see me? So, and then the day of the show, I get there, and I'm backstage. I get there like 3 hours early. I'm really nervous. I have these pills that I was taking because I had really bad. Whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And then he goes, oh yeah, well, it's his nickname is No Show George, and I'm like, are you shitting me?
Oh, no.
Well, long story short, it's too late. I get out and I do a little crowd work, and they eat it up. So I go, just stop, don't do material as long as you can.
You have that moment,
Yeah, and I did it, and I also remember him asking how the crowd was when I got off stage.
Right.
He goes, how's the crowd? I remember thinking, does he care how the crowd is? But now doing comedy all these years, I go, yeah, you always care how the crowd is.
And I feel like, I'm so blown away by, because I always feel like that's, in everything that I've ever done, the most dangerous situation is performing for a musical act. And no matter what the musical act is, like when comedy comes before it and people are not prepared or willing to hear it, you can really just get screwed. My dad brought me to see Little Feat. It's like, like Zydeco band or whatever. Mm-hmm. And A. Whitney Brown opened up for them.
Oh, A. Whitney Brown.
And I was so excited because I saw him from Saturday Night Live and I loved it. Got out on stage for, I would say, 2 minutes. And the audience is like, boo, get out, get out. They're hating on him. He goes, you don't realize if I leave now, I'm supposed to do 20 minutes. If I leave, you're just sitting in silence for 20 minutes. And I was like, good, get out.
Wait, did you say?
No, the audience is screaming. He's like, all right. And he just left after 2 minutes of he's like, all right, sit in silence, enjoy it, yeah.
I figured out, I had a manager who owned the comedy club. He served as my manager. His name was Steve Young. And he really gave me looking back, some good hard advice. And this comes to the Patti LaBelle part of the story. I learned very early on, no one else thinks to do it. I was, that time, 19, 20.
Yeah.
I made my own announcement.
Okay.
And I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I knew that they had to pause, good evening, welcome, let them hear it.
Yeah.
Please welcome Patti LaBelle's guest.
Oh, that's really nice.
That was my first thing. And then I would get out on stage and I would go, come on, Patty's backstage, let her hear what she's in for.
That's great.
And sometimes, if once in a blue moon, but not that often, somebody would say something, it was overall very civil. Her audiences were great. I would go, I don't know, I'm a guest at Patty's. Wouldn't she want you to treat her guests nice?
That's great. Yeah. That's a genius idea.
I would say that. I go, no, seriously, I'm not being cutesy. Like, she brought me here. We were on a tour bus today. Like, wouldn't she want to believe, if you met her after the show and she said, hey, how did you treat Todd? Would you want to have to go, we heckled them?
And you're not Jewish.
Oh, the guilt thing?
It seems
I am
Jewish. You are.
I am Jewish.
There it is.
But what I also love is just the image of a 18-year-old or 19-year-old you hanging hanging out on a tour with Patti LaBelle, even though it didn't happen, but just for the audience to put that together. Like, oh wow, okay, I guess these
They have a visual.
Yeah.
Because you're right, I wasn't with other people with the tour buses, but with Patti LaBelle, I was never. So anyway, I open up for at the Valley Forge Music Fair, and that's about 3,000 people. And then we get a call a week later, she's going to be on Broadway for a month and a half. And I get the offer. My manager said $500 for the week.
Yeah.
You know, this is 1984.
It's amazing.
And they thought, which by the way, I always feel when I say this, like, am I like admitting that we did something wrong? Yeah. They thought we meant per show.
Oh, okay, got it.
$500 per show.
Okay, yeah.
So I got $500 a show, and we did.
That's amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with that type of money.
Yeah.
And then we would do the shows, and then every Sunday night, it would a matinee show, and then they would drive me. Her son Zori would drive me, Zori back to her house, his house, with his mom, whoever was watching him was, and then would take me to my parents' house. And so I think partly the reason it was the most special experience is my dad got to see me.
Yeah.
He had died a short time after that, in like a very
super classy, and it's
tuxedo,
not
coming out on stage, like a level of success which was not mine really yet, but it was hers.
But it also legitimizes everything you want to do, because it's like you are in a professional environment. You wore a tuxedo?
I did wear a tuxedo.
Wow.
I wore a tuxedo, and she would. Unbelievably nice.
Yeah.
Like so warm and so nice. Every night she would put a spotlight. Now at that point I think I'm like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And then but some of my friends are even younger. My brother's hanging out with me. He's 16. My other brother's 18, 17. And she would shine a spotlight on me because I would always watch from the side of the theater.
Yeah.
I would do my set and then I would watch from the side of the theater. Like stand. In the aisle, find an alcove.
Yeah.
Right. And she would always go, I want to dedicate a song to my opener, Todd Glass. And she goes, oh, his parents are here tonight. They put a spotlight on them.
Amazing.
And it was, unbelievable. And she was just so nice and warm and affectionate.
Yeah.
And I told my family, this is the last story. I told my family that every night she would come by my dressing room when she was ready to perform. Because after I was done, they took a break.
Yeah.
And she would go, talk to me, ask how the crowd was. And I said, every night. My family's like, really? Like she stops by?
Yeah.
So that night when they were all there, she just walked by my green room, and I was like, nah. And then she came right back seconds later. She goes, I can't do it. She goes, your brother found me down the hall and dared me. She goes, Todd says you come out every night. Like, I'm like, you son of a bitch. But not to her, to my brother.
Of course.
And we did bits. We did bits.
That's amazing.
Every night when she would get off stage, like she'd cool down and she'd go, how do you think I did? And I'd be like, now when I think about it,
this is an insane experience.
She was, and I would always say, I go, you're not trying, but it was a bit, it wasn't me being disrespectful.
Right.
So in a way that was, probably because of the dad thing.
Yeah.
I still hold that in very high regard as far as being an enjoyable thing.
I mean, that's amazing, and I want to hear.
I made that up, by the way.
Oh,
never happened.
Man, it's not in the book. But now I want to go back, and then we can go about the worst one. So at 16, you start doing stand-up, and you're at a club at like 17 or 18. You must be the youngest guy there at that point.
I think there might have been one other kid that was my age, and but I started going on the weekends.
Okay.
Like I started going on Friday and Saturday. I didn't even know what a comedy club was.
Right.
Like
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Philadelphia.
Okay, got it.
And my friend Albert Nalabatsky, I'm looking, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got nervous.
I know, I'm just looking at you, and I hope that
I thought, if I not acknowledge the world.
No, there's no cameras in here, guys. It's just us.
My friend Albert Nalabatsky, who I'm still friends with, he went down to a comedy club, and I thought, was it like college students telling jokes?
Yeah.
And then we started to go down there in high school. I was obsessed with it. We'd see of course I remember the people that have since gone on, but we'd see like Richard Lewis, we'd see Gilbert Gottfried, we'd see, Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, Gary Shandling, Paul Reiser, Bill Maher, Eddie Murphy had taken a weekend there right after SNL.
Wow.
So, and then we heard that, Wednesday night's open mic night. So
that's ballsy to be that young, because I feel like I had those instincts too, but then to actually get up and then do it, like I talked about this with a friend 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
This answers your question about being ballsy. I said, I don't really get ready for anything. I've never run a marathon.
Right.
I've never, but I'm happy. But I meant like in that area of, I ran a marathon. I got ready for this.
Yeah.
I did this. I did that. I go, I haven't done anything like that. And he goes, you moved to LA and did stand-up comedy. I went, you're right. Like, I didn't even try to play modest. I fucking was 23 years old. I packed up my Jeep and put everything in it and drove to California with $600.
It's amazing.
So I'm like, fuck marathons. I do comedy.
That's the life marathon. You did. Yeah.
It made me feel better.
So you get up for the first time in that stand-up club, and it goes well, I imagine, then, or
it went well. I don't know if this is true or not, but like a lot of comedians, we always try to wonder, why is it a lot of comedians will say the first time went well? Yeah. The only thing I can guess, and I might be wrong, was sometimes when you're going up the first time, they tell the crowd.
Okay.
It's his first time up. Maybe they're extra gentle to you.
Yeah.
But I did do well the first time. Next week, I brought like my family, my grandparents, and everybody, my brothers, and I did horrible. And I never brought anybody back again until I was, I think I opened for Jay Leno on a weekend show.
Okay, wow.
Like if you were good on the Wednesday night, the open mic night, you got bumped up to hosting the weekend shows.
Amazing.
And then I did all right. But yeah, I was...
and did you have to lie about I did stuff where I had to lie about my age early on because people, like, when you're not 21 are not perceived as being as old as the people that are around the club. Did you ever have to do that? Or are you like, here he is, a 16-year-old, he's just out of, he's just in high school and he's doing his bits. Like, I mean...
You know, I think that comedy club had so weird that I even know this, restaurant license, so I didn't need to be 21. But when I did bars, I didn't, I said, don't say my age. Right. And I always looked, I think I looked 40 my entire life. So I always looked so much older.
Right. So yeah, it wasn't like those like kids that came out on like I remember when I was a kid watching like Regis and Kathy Lee, and they're like little kids in bow ties, like, hey, my teacher's a real pain in the butt, like that kind of stuff.
It's obviously a parent had written the joke.
Exactly.
No, I wrote all my own jokes when I did stand-up that age.
Wait, did you do it?
I really did.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old when I started.
And you wrote?
I wrote all my own shit-tastic material. And I was performing at clubs where I was not old enough to be in there, and like I had older comic friends who were like, "Come on, just put him on, and they were like, "I don't know, it can't be on the floor," and they were like, "The stage isn't on the same floor."
Oh my God!
Where are you at? Like,
this is in New York. This is like stand-up New York,
your comic
and the
friends
cellar.
when you're this young.
Jeff Ross, Ivan Gold.
You don't know that he's the youngest member of the Friars Club?
I did know that, but I did not know. That's amazing.
Well, no, but this isn't about me.
Okay.
But I wasn't that kid.
Okay.
I was like, hey, let me tell you what else sucks about old pussy. Like, that's what it's really
some kids
bad.
at 12, you'd be surprised. Like, I liked Don Rickles when I was 12. I got it. I got his sense of humor.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You can tell the minute they open their mouth, like, no, this isn't really. This is your dad writing this.
Yeah. So you were doing regular material.
Yeah, it was horrible material, but it was like, I remember one time telling this comedian, Steve Scrovan. I have a hard time with names. And he goes, where do you live? And I was at that point, you get mushy with you. I always feel like I'm lying when I'm telling stories because I'm like, I don't know how old I was. Well, it's funny, he said 17 in the beginning of the interview, but it's all in that area.
We're not fact checking.
Yes. You sure? But whatever I was, he goes, where do you live? Because I looked 40. He didn't think. I went, I live with my parents. And then I interrupted him. I went, but I'm 19, that's where I belong. I was like, and then for years afterwards, he would always see me, he'd go, I'm 19, that's where I belong. I don't want you to think I'm...
I love that.
Yeah, I belong at home.
Were there anybody that was particularly bad to you in that when you're opening up for people on Saturdays and stuff like that, because you said like you had, that club had a lot of big name acts coming through there, like, Leno and all these different people. Anyone treat you badly in that?
You know what? This is when I'm proud to if comedy is a fraternity, stand-up comedy. Overwhelmingly, I think comedians. I really love hanging out with comedians. I really do. I think I've said this before because I want to say it a lot because I want to be appreciative of it and say it and not have to look back years later and go, God, that was special what I got to do. I want to live it and know it's special. I love comedians. To me, they offer me everything that I need, and I love to act like you're in 7th grade the rest of your life. Right. The silliness and the giddiness. You do bits. You don't realize that, but that's what we've said, me and my friends. When you're in 7th grade, you have a comedian's sense of humor. You do bits. You do bits, and then life knocks the shit out of you, and you're not doing bits anymore. But when you don't call them bits, but when you're in 7th grade, you're always like, and you want to get in, and you're like, no, what if I was this? Oh, you be the doorman. And you would always just do these bits, and so what I mean is nobody was ever mean to me. Some people were more to themselves.
Sure.
you know, guys like Richard Lewis and Bill Maher, when they came in, they were more to themselves. So sometimes you thought they might be, but when you had an interaction with them, because at that point I still worked at the club, and I remember I went out to get one of them cold medicine, and I just thought he might. And then when I brought it in, he was like, "Hey," and he's real friendly and so he just wasn't super outgoing, but certainly friendly on the one-on-one. So nobody was.
That's great. Yeah, so you had this amazing experience. I think I had the same thing. I don't think I've ever met anybody that was like dick, you know?
No, especially in the stand-up comedians. They were always super nice. And I remember when I got off stage, I was very, all over the place and frenetic. And everyone, but they were really nice, all the other comedians, but they go, you have to probably just calm down a little bit, like in a positive way. And then this guy, Legendary Wit, who's still in Philadelphia, and he's awesome, and he goes, you just do exactly what you do. Like, that'd be like a scene in a movie, you know? But he was right, and I always remembered that he was like this, he goes, just do whatever you do. Don't let anybody tell you to calm down. I was like, so.
That makes sense, because it's like, don't conform to be everybody else's voice, be your own voice.
Right, and a lot of people were doing that back then, because you wanted to, it was like the whole thing, get on the Tonight Show. So if you didn't, everyone was like, but
what's your now, before we get too far away from it, what is one of the worst either performing things or like career-wise where you're like, like it doesn't have to be a sad story, but it's more of the like, that was a shitty situation, like,
it's so weird, but the only one that always comes to my mind, because I was like sweating. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. There's that band like from a long time ago. They're like, my sure.
What
the Knack.
The Knack.
Yeah.
I opened up for them, and it was just I didn't even know what to do, and I was like, I think I was like very like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm trying, like, and I remember just sweating and like going, oh my God, I can't wait to get off stage.
And were you even like, I mean, at that point, had you opened for a lot of musical acts, or did you? Because it seems like now you started with Patti LaBelle.
Well, I had for some reason
this couldn't have been. This must have been like 81, 82 at the latest, right?
This was later. This was in 90 maybe.
Oh my God.
So I'm doing comedy longer at that point.
But just the Knack, that song was 79, was their one and only hit.
Yeah, I have a feeling maybe it came out around Reality Bites or whatever. Like,
there it is.
Is that what it was?
There was a little revival of it.
And they were like at the Troubadour up on Sunset.
Okay.
So it was like, and
it was a real show.
What?
It was a real show for them?
You mean like it wasn't?
No, for them. For them, it was like they had a real crowd. It wasn't like, and now opening for the Stones.
No, it was there, but it was a small place. It was definitely small.
A tight little spot.
And I was just, I didn't know what to do. What were you? So before that, I wasn't braced for that, because before that I had opened up for like because of the Valley Forge Music Fair, that was the reason that I had opened up for all those acts. Because that was my open up for Patti LaBelle. And then whenever they had an act in town that didn't have an opening act, the Valley Forge Music Fair would call the Comedy Works. But like the Temptations, I opened up for Luther Vandross, Diana Ross.
Also primarily like black singers too.
It was a lot of black audiences, and I always say. Maybe there is a reason here, but I always say even if you positive stereotype, it's not a good thing, because then it proves that negative is
100% agree.
But with that in mind, maybe you could say that black audiences were very expressive, and if they liked you, they really let you know. And I love that, because that's the way I laugh. Like those audiences, when I did well, which was most of the time, I figured out what to do. They would just be like me. Like when I watch a guy like Eddie Pepitone now, I always use him as an example. I want to stop it. I want to just punch people. And I'm not doing it to get attention. Matter of fact, I tone it down sometimes, because I don't want that perception to be that
I'm the loudest laugher. Look at me, because I'm enjoying this more than
So I'm toning it down, but I want to get up and literally like just freak out. And those audiences were very expressive, and I loved it. It was they all were really good.
So that's an amazing like kind of. But then look, I mean, again, not to forward a stereotype, but then the Knack, a white band, not giving you that much love.
Yeah. So white people are the demise of this world. They fucking suck.
Do you remember the first time you performed on TV, like doing a TV performance, like it was a talk show or anything like that? like what was your first stand-up on a talk show or something like that?
It was probably. Oh, there's a video of it actually.
Oh, really?
Evening at the Improv, which was like, do you know of that?
Yeah, of course. I watched that as a kid all the time, like on A&E, right? It was like, yeah.
And it was the host was.
Paul Provenza?
No,
Ray changed a lot.
What?
Guest hosts.
They had guest hosts.
Robert Hayes hosted a bunch of times.
Really? From Airplane?
Robert fucking Hayes.
Yeah, they had weird hosts, and the comedians would write them jokes. I think mine was but Ray Sharkey.
Yeah.
Is that name?
Wow, what is he from?
He was from Deliverance, maybe, or something.
That's amazing.
Oh no, that was Ned. That was Ned. That was Ned. He hosted too, by the way.
They all hosted.
What? I gotta go look at some old Night of the.
I'm on there, and my voice is still like. Well, my voice was higher because it was higher than it even was at that time because I'm nervous because I'm on television, so I'm trying to perform really good and show my jokes and.
And was that a real audience? Because I remember like they tried to do another like thing recently, or not recently, like 7 years ago, on NBC late night. And it was like they created a stand-up comedy club, but it was all just extras in seats.
No, they were real. They were real audiences. They were real audiences. That was the first thing. And of course I was, so nervous.
And how old were you at that roughly?
24.
Okay, so still early on. Like,
yeah. I just moved to LA. And I remember having and then after that I did Conan, and I remember my manager seeing my notes. I didn't think it was weird back then, but this is the way I did it for my live act. So he saw my cue card, because they came in the my cue card, and there was a red line down the middle, and then there were jokes over here, and then there were jokes on the right. He goes, what is this? Why do you have it there? I go, if I'm doing really well, I might move over and do some of these jokes. But like, these were my jokes I knew would do well, but those were like, if I'm really killing, hey, do this joke. He goes, I think you might want to
just stick with the killing side.
Just stay with the killing side. It's not an open mic.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the jokes on the right were more my favorite joke.
Of course.
So they weren't as short-proof. They weren't as fireproof.
Yeah, I mean, like
surefire.
Surefire.
Thank you. You know what, Sam? Thank God you're here.
You know what, Tom?
Because this fucking idiot wasn't going to help me out.
Nothing. I was going to look at it and say fireproof.
Are we allowed to curse?
As much as you want.
I don't want to over-curse, but.
Well.
But I was sort of wanted to right after I said that. But what were you saying?
Yeah, no, but like to try out new material, to be that like they'll eat out of my palm of my hand. Now I can give them this other joke.
If they like me, I can do my joke about whatever it was. I don't even remember.
But no, so Conan was the first like national talk show appearance.
Yeah.
And that did you feel like? Would you ever remember like that change from like when things started to change for you, where you got a little bit more recognized, like recognition and stuff like that?
Really, the only major one is probably Last Comic Standing.
Yeah.
I heard the other year before, but they had, but that's the first time really when I went to a club and I was like, well, I used to always like to act like the doorman at a comedy club.
Right.
So I would always befriend the staff. It was always fun, and then I would stand at the door and just card people. Sometimes do just a really good, like, what if I was a doorman? Other times I'd be silly, but it was fun. And then I realized I was like, I should have been excited that I, had some people recognizing me, but instead I was like, fuck, I can't do my doorman bit anymore because now people go, oh, you're the comic. I'm like, I want it the other way.
Wait, so you would literally go, like, when you were performing on the road, you would just be a doorman just like fuck around with people as they were coming?
For like 20 minutes, you go over, you're joking with them, and you go, move aside, let me do it, just to make the staff laugh, or I would seat people. Like, that would be my big thing. I would take the person who was seating and just seat people. But after Last Comic Standing, that was probably like, you start seeing a little bit of it.
That's an interesting way, like, because I feel like that experience must have been interesting to go in. And in your season, had they gotten rid of the artifice of like living in the house and stuff like that?
No, you still lived in the house. You still lived in the house.
What was that? Was that a challenging thing? Because it's like, you're a great stand-up. You already know you have that. And I feel like on that show, at least when I've watched it, there's like, oh, I know these like 3 or 4 people, and they're really funny. And then these other people, they seem like they're. I mean, not to talk trash. And I'm not saying that.
I totally know what you mean. In my season, everybody was pretty seasoned comic. I think they'd realize if you're going to give in the world of singing, if someone has a great voice, they can buy songs and have songs written for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
But with comedy, if you get your 15 minutes of fame and you don't, so they really did did try to use more seasoned comics. That if they won, they were able to go out and do something with it. So everybody in my house was seasoned. Yeah. And I had a great time. Yeah. I really did have an awesome time. But there were a few people in the house that you know, were forming alliances, and I'm like, come on, we're all returning. We're not on a reality show on television where we all go to our own lives. We're going to return to the same world together. So why are you doing alliances? And they know who they are. And so that was disturbing to me, because I was like, come on, what are we doing? Like, like me and Gary Goldman and Bonnie McFarlane, we didn't create what I call, they tried to create these who ate my cookie moments. Right. What other reality shows do. We never partake in that. We never partaked in it. Partook? Oh, Jesus.
All right.
So they didn't have it for us. Right. They went and did other
things. So you guys
are
much more, it's such a, I mean, I always think I watch these reality shows and I love them, and I'm like, but then to be as savvy as you guys are too, like in that world, it must have just been, I feel like that would be a pain in the ass to be like just surrounded by these cameras.
I thought it would be fun to mock it. Right. You know, like that, not the disrespect, because I was very happy I was on the show. Matter of fact, by the way, I will be honest with you there, a lot of times when you lose on Last Comic Standing, or you know, because you've watched enough reality TV, that they're close up on you in the camera. You don't want to show you're disappointed. Yeah. But I will say something, like, I really wanted to get in that house. Right. You know, I'd been doing comedy for a long time, and I knew that it would help me because season 1, and my name was 8th out of the 10th, and I was fucking pumped. That was probably, you know, I was very excited.
So you were in Dat Fantasy? That was Dat Fantasy?
No, he was in the first show.
He was in the second, okay.
But it was fun, and you know what? When all these reality shows are over, like, you know, I'll think like, because it was fun to be a part of it. Like, you would forget that you really did forget how many cameras there were. Yeah. Especially late at night, when sometimes the roaming cameras there'd be 2 roaming cameras, and they would be off site. Right. There were just all the mounted cameras.
So they're just like getting you like that.
Yeah. So you'd be in the kitchen and you'd drop something. And I remember literally dropping a bottle of salad dressing and the oil, you know, and I'm like, mother. And then a guy comes out from a door, the bus pan and a mop. Like, I'm like, oh, I forgot, I'm on a reality show. So you're like, oh, this, and we'd sit around the fire pit every night. Yeah. I always thought, you know what? If my brother sees me talking about Last Comic Standing, he's always like, you know, you're going to be like, well, when I was on Last Comic Standing, I'm watching just tune in.
I pimped him into it.
I didn't want to talk about it. But we would sit around the fire pit at night, and we would have these great conversations about stand-up comedy. Like, people talk about sports. Yeah. You know, Letterman, Leno, this, that. What do you think of this? What's funny? Is there? And none of that made it into the show.
Of course not.
Of course not, because they were trying to get those fake "Who Ate My Cookie" moments instead of this. And I always thought, I would just for the fuck of it, if I ever had, like, what I say, like, Bill Gates money, or you know, Drew Carey money. Sure. I would get that footage. Drew Carey money is insane. That's insane money. But any of those guys, Will Ferrell money, I would get that footage somehow, and I would re-edit it and prove that was awesome. You know, there was so much footage of us just sitting around, you know, talking about comedy. There was a fire pit there, but they really very rarely.
Like, that's what you kind of wanted to see too. It's like it's Survivor. You can watch alliances and stuff like that. This, you have like really funny people talking about comedy. It was a million times more interesting than anything else you could possibly do.
But I gotta stop talking about it in case my brother flips in right now. He'll be like, Todd, maybe I picture them at home, like his wife. He's talking about Last Comic Standing, like we used to joke about. Come in here. And then he comes in right now. So anyway, the thing about... you look stupid, Merrill.
I remember, you have so many interesting things I want to talk about. And I want to talk about, like, I like it. Todd's Coma is, to me, one of the coolest ideas for a show. And maybe, like, for people who are not familiar with it, maybe explain it.
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad that you even said that, because I will be honest with you that, like, I had to move on from that idea, because I didn't want to be a guy in the business that had one idea and then he pitched it till he died. Sure. You know? But the concept was, a long time ago, I was living with 2 other comedians, and I came home. I don't do very well in auditions. My own fault. I just don't do well. And I said jokingly, I go, you know what? I wish I could just have a show where I was in a coma. Like, literally, like, if that was my thing. And by the way, if you were on a hit show and you were the guy that laid in bed in a coma, even with no dream sequences, people would come out to see you.
Oh yeah,
it would be a joke.
100%.
And I already thought in my live act what I would do. Every town, and you know they do it if you're a draw, would rent a hospital bed, and then they would push me out on the hospital bed, and for like 5 minutes, commit, and maybe have my thoughts start up first. So, but that's how it all started. And then my friend Mike Coman and Steve Rosenthal were like, most sitcoms revolve around a bar. That's the meeting ground.
Yeah.
But why couldn't the hospital room be this twisted meeting ground? And I had also had a friend that was just in an accident, and we were all spending a lot of time in the hospital, and we would whisper when we were in there, and his parents would always come in and go, "You don't need to whisper. Like we want the energy of the room. We want you laughing." They understood why we felt it was disrespectful.
Of course.
But after them telling us 7 times, we got over it, and we would just go in and have fun. You would see people you hadn't seen because we were all coming to see a friend of ours that was in the hospital. And so I thought, that could be the twisted meeting grounds. And then to me, the other layer of it was, my past is whatever we want it to be.
Yeah.
So if Mick Jagger comes by, and the first thing my mom's like, "Oh, hi, how did you know Todd?" "Well, Todd was our first drummer, but he had quite a temper."
Yeah, boom, you get to see everything.
Go to the flashback. There was one episode, I think, where we had come up with Weird Al Yankovic was coming in at 5 in the morning and singing his new song parodies to me before.
Right.
So there was all these twisted, and then I had that idea, and I was like, so we decided to just shoot it.
Yeah.
It was just when you could start editing it on your computer, and then the idea was sort of easy to tell people. I'm in a coma.
Yeah.
So we shot this in my house, and we had Fred Willard played my doctor.
Right.
And his character he knew everything about everything. Like, if Jimmy Pardo played a friend of mine who was playing a guitar, he'd go, "Oh, how many frets are there?" And he would know everything about everything.
Right.
The only thing he wasn't great about was, medical stuff.
Yeah.
And he's my doctor. So, and he would always go, "Oh, I wish I paid attention in medical school." And my parents would be like, "Oh my God." And he would eat. I remember once, I would just excuse me, I think I just spit. I would lay in bed. I just had to lay in bed the night of the show.
Right.
We did the show live at the HBO workspace or Comedy Central workspace, and I had to lay in bed and just not move. All my stuff was shot already.
Which is the best, believe it, the best thing you could possibly do.
But I was nervous, believe it or not. I was so nervous because I thought, how am I not going to move my foot?
Right.
So someone said, concentrate under the blanket, moving your fingers. Like, don't concentrate on not moving. So I'm under there, move your fingers, move your fingers. Well, Fred Willard held out a few key things till the night of the performance. He never did them in rehearsal. By the way, he is
amazing.
Yeah, the reason everybody loves Fred Willard, you know why? Because they should. And he sets the standard high as being a decent person and kind and gentle and fucking hilarious still. I saw him on Kimmel a few nights ago doing a great bit. But anyway, he held off the rehearsal. He had potato chips in his doctor's jacket. And somebody said, the patient in and they're having cardiac
arrest.
And he goes, "Oh, is that serious?" And then he ate a potato chip. And I'm like, "You motherfucker." He eats a potato chip. And then, and like that was the bump, the crunch of that. Like he goes, "Oh, are those serious?" And then he ate it. Like he doesn't, that character is so dumb. It's serious enough not to be eating potato chips out of your pocket. And that was very hard for me not to I remember just going, "You motherfucker."
Well, because I also feel like people are going to be staring at you to be like, when is he going to move? Is he going to move? Like, it's like one of those things where you're putting it out there on stage.
So we had him, Herb Albert played my nurse, Ray Romano was in it, Ariana Huffington was in it, Sarah Silverman did a scene in it. Sarah Silverman came in, they go, "Oh, what brings you here?" She goes, "I'm visiting my mom. She's in a coma upstairs also." And my mom was like she goes, "Oh," she goes, "I'm kidding, I had an abortion." So that was that. And then, then we ended up, and Ben Stiller had a scene in it. And then we just couldn't sell it. Then I said, well, I'm done with it. Unless somebody I used to say Jim Carrey. I go, unless Jim Carrey or something like that comes along with power and goes. And then that's what happened. Nick Swartzen, a few years later, showed it to Adam Sandler. And he called one day. I knew Adam, but I hadn't seen him in a while. Because, his career obviously went the way it did. And you just lose touch. And he said, "Hey, I just watched this with Nick." And so we did. We shot a pilot. It's with Happy Madison's. TBS picked it up. But then, with confidence, I say, not being immature, they ruined it.
Right.
They ruined it. They really did ruin it. And the original guy at TBS that bought it said, if we're going to put TBS on the map, we got to do something different. And he was right. But then a new guy came in, So midway through,
so you got lost the whole.
Yeah, and Doug Robinson over there, you know, he knew it halfway through.
Yeah.
He goes, this is not his child, so.
Yeah, and then it gets.
Yeah, but we shot it, and you know what? Not to be sort of try to be positive. Of course, I would have wanted it to go, but I remember just thinking, if I came up with an idea and I went to a network and said, can I have like $1 million and like to shoot? I have this idea for a show, and then we got to the set one day and they had police blocking the streets so we could do a silly bit.
The best thing ever.
So I tried to like leave it like that was still a great experience.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. I still, when I run that idea by, I'm not going to go pitch it again, but I still don't fucking get it. Why somebody, and you know, the same thing happened about 3 weeks ago. I had a meeting I will say this, I had a meeting, and it was, I'm not just saying this to then say something mean. I had a meeting at Red Hour, which is Ben Stiller's company, and you know when you're in a room and just 3 people that are in the business, but they're all really kind.
Yes.
But once again, somebody goes, I always felt that you didn't utilize you because you were in the coma. And I want to go, are you shitting me? The fucking dream sequences, why do you? But even separate from that comment, I still don't get it. And I know everybody thinks their ideas are great. I don't. I've had ideas I look back on, I'm like, nah, I thought that was great at the time. I still don't get why I have proven myself to be funny for this many years in the business. Yeah. Just the concept of the coma and the flashbacks, someone doesn't go, yes, let's do this again.
I have a feeling that you were just a couple years too early, because now you could get like financing in the web world. You could do it cheaper. I feel like now that things are cheaper and like people are letting people go off and make weirder stuff. I think
that's
it's newish.
That's the key word, but that I didn't even realize that till later, because I remember echoing what you just said as far as the weirder things. We really felt like we had to dance around the coma thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like we're like, but now there's so many weird shows.
That could be front and center, and that's the show. And it's one of those ideas that I remember I heard about forever ago, and it's always stuck with me as being just a great idea and such a perfect way to do something that I'd never really seen before.
Yeah. But you know, other than that, it's all good.
Now, I know you've talked about it in the past, but you talk about having a cardiac arrest, but then, so you had a heart attack at Largo.
I did.
And that is.
I like how, I don't know why I said it. I did.
But that must have been a surreal experience too, to be at a performing. Like I mean, like you were. Sarah was there, and who else was there?
Well, I didn't know that I was having a heart attack. So at the it was Chelsea Peretti, Sarah was there, Flanagan, Jeff Ross was there, and what happened was. About a year before that, this explains why I didn't think I needed an ambulance. About a year before that, or 2 years, I was at a festival with Sarah, and I'm a one-hit pot smoker back then. One hit, people go 3 hours later, they're like, come on, how are you still high from that? And the joint was going around, and I'm like, I kept taking more and more. And so what happens to me when I get a little too high is I learned, I didn't know what it was at first. I would just go, I got nauseous. I lose my equilibrium.
Got it.
So I have to get to a place and just shut up, almost like when you're hungover.
Right.
You know when you can.
Yeah, you just need to zone out.
Yeah, just don't. If someone says, "How are you?" and I have to lift my head and go, "Fine," I have to start all over.
Right.
So Sarah witnessed that. And there were the same exact thing when I was having my heart attack. Nausea, leave me alone. So no one knew I was having a heart attack, and I just remember there were so many funny things that even I remember while I didn't know what was going on with me. Sarah she goes, do you want some warm scrambled eggs? Like the worst thing you could offer somebody. And then
people are doing bits around you. Everyone's doing bits. A major heart attack.
Jeff Ross took my shoe off. He goes, let me take your shoes off, to be nice, be nice. And then he goes, let me put it back on. Like my feet smelled, and I remember I hit my knee, like just with my hand. And Sarah goes, "Oh, he gave you a mercy laugh," and it wasn't like that. Really made me laugh, because I knew he took my shoes off to be nice. He really did. That was the bit that he thought of last minute. To go, ooh, let me put them back on, and then I go, "It wasn't a mercy laugh." Like I had to I wanted to go let her know. It wasn't a mercy laugh. That was the only thing I uttered. I said nothing else. Zero, nothing else. I would hit my side to go, it was funny, but I couldn't laugh. And then I go.
So the whole time you're hitting your thigh, you're like, I'm just really messed up from pot. It doesn't click in.
I'm a little bit I'm not feeling well at all, and it's not getting better. But yeah, I think it's just the pot.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I remember going, well, I don't want to. Early when the first thing I said, I didn't want to. I go, I don't want to have to pay for the ambulance. Don't call an ambulance. I don't have to pay out of pocket. So Sarah goes, she goes, oh, sweetheart. She goes, I'll pay for the ambulance. She goes, but I remember her putting her finger, like her nail in her tooth, like that whole thing. Yeah. She goes, but it will be your birthday and Christmas present. You know, so then, you know, they came, and I didn't want to get into the ambulance. I said, I think I'm all right. But he goes, why don't we just put you in the ambulance? We'll save you a trip to the emergency ward. Right. And it worked, and I got in the ambulance, and a minute later, I remember him saying, look, I don't want to alarm you, but you're having a heart attack right now. And I said, affectionately, I go, shut the fuck up. Yeah. I was like, shut the fuck up. I couldn't believe it. And I could not believe, I was like, shit, and I wasn't on my Lipitor. I was like, oh my God, I was in a relationship at the time. And that was sort of the beginning of, like, you know, where I talk about in the book of like going, because I'm jumping all over the place. Please, I'm sorry. So I'm in the ambulance in the stretcher, and I see Sarah outside, and I see Jeff, and Sarah's the only one that I told about, you know. This is before I, you know, came out of the closet, whatever. You notice I sort of got one right. Yeah. But, well, I always say that term I hate, but it's an okay term. It's not like other terms people should stop saying. But yeah, this isn't one of those. It's just my thing.
Your own thing. Yeah.
My only joke that I've made since was if they could call it busting out of the shed would at least be a little tougher.
I like busting out. Yeah.
So I'm still a man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So I remember having a goddamn heart attack, and I was still paranoid about. You know, and I yelled out to her, and I'm like, call Andrea, which was, you know, not Andrea. His name was Chris, but the thing was, I thought, well, his name was unisex anyway. I could have just said Chris, but I wasn't thinking. I wanted to make it Andrea. You know?
But my God, but the wherewithal in that moment to even be like, okay, now I got to make sure.
I can laugh at it. It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
But no, but it's like, you know, and then those are arguably some of your closer friends too. I mean, Sarah especially, because she knew about it. But
she knew, right?
But Jeff,
they all knew. They all knew, but they weren't allowed to know that I knew.
Got it.
That's in hindsight. That's the part I'm like, oh, because my friends, not to be mean, they'll tell me now. They'll be like, yeah, we all knew. And I'm like, and then I still hold on to it. I go, but you weren't like 100%. I'm like, for what? I don't know. You know.
And then, like, would you ever be able to go out with? I mean, that or Chris, or whoever the Chris is. Like, would you ever be able to go out with that person? Because I imagine, like, the circles that you travel in, you would see these people.
I would tell people he was my cousin, you know. Really? And then I remember one place where he lived, because when we ended up buying a home together. Yeah. And then. So I lived with him on the beach for like a month until our home was ready. Right. And then we told everybody there. I think cousin and stepbrother, we bounced back and forth when we were being lazy about it. So then years later, somebody goes to Chris, like, you know, how's your brother or your whatever? And he goes, I don't have a brother. They're like, Todd, your brother? He's like, oh, he's good. Like, they're like, what? And if they weren't around us a lot, they probably didn't know. You'd be surprised. People aren't paying attention.
Of course.
But for my friends, they would be like, how many cousins does Todd have? You know?
Well, it's time for us to play a game called Who Tweeted. Sam runs this game. Don't
worry, I'll walk you through it. Just roll the intro.
Okay.
I love intros.
You got an intro.
Celebrities have so much to say. Who tweeted? Is the game we're gonna play.
Oh, thank you. You're quite the gentleman, Sam.
Well, you know, it's we're definitely gonna need a refill on that. David, I'm looking in your direction. Guys, this is the exciting portion of the show.
Very excited.
Where we play a game.
I love
it.
And it's not just for fun. It's for high stakes.
Oh wow.
So let me explain how this game works. It's called Who Tweeted, and in honor of our nation's birthday.
4th of July.
4th of July. We will be playing the Independence Day version of Who Tweeted.
Very exciting.
And by that I mean all of these tweets were written by actors from the feature film Independence Day.
Oh my gosh, very excited.
Very exciting. I know you're a movie fan.
I'm a movie fan.
Movie fan?
I'm going to do bad.
That's okay. Well, no, you're familiar with these three people, I hope.
Somebody smells very good. I don't know who it is.
Probably me.
It's probably Jamie. Will Smith, you've heard of him.
Of course.
Okay. Harry Connick Jr., surely you've heard of him. And Vivica A. Fox.
Sure.
All right.
Perfect. Then you're going to do fine.
I love
but I don't know what they said.
That's okay.
No Harvey Firestein's.
No Harvey Firestein. Unfortunately, all of his tweets are all
I was going to say, the way you... Shut up! The way you do Harvey Fierstein or anybody with that voice is you get deep as you can. First of all, you get as deep as you can get. As manly and deep as you can get. And then you just put S's in there. you just the deep voice, but then you add your S's. But if you take away the S's, and then you just add S's, and that's how you turn into that.
I can only do Harvey Fierstein from Independence Day. David, why did I just send my mother to Atlanta? That's all I have. Okay, so here's how it goes.
So just one more time. Vivica A. Fox,
Harry
Connick
Connick Jr., Will Smith. Here's how it works. One at a time, I'm going to read a series of 8 tweets.
Okay.
All of these tweets were written by either Will Smith, Harry Connick Jr., or Vivica A. Fox.
I'm going to go Will, Harry, and
Vivica. Perfect. Or Viv. I'm sure friends
like
will.
Viv.
Harry, Viv.
For short.
I like that better.
So,
Will, Harry, Viv.
As soon as I start reading the tweet, once you feel like you know who
It actually
authored
sounds
it,
like the royal family is like children. Will, Harry, and Viv. Will, Harry, and Viv.
you
Punch the
buzz
other
in by
person.
saying your own name.
Okay.
And then I will point to whoever rang in first. Then you will have 3 seconds to say either Will, Harry, or Viv.
Okay. Got it.
Ring in, you get it right, you get yourself 5 points. Ring in, you get it wrong, you lose 3.
Ooh, wow.
Once somebody rings in, they either get it or they don't, then we move on. No second chances.
There goes
got
my
it.
plan of just buzzing in unnecessarily.
Yeah,
Right.
just to knock it out.
At the end of 8 tweets, unless there is a tie, one of you will be walking away with that $20 bill.
That's real.
Now you guys are interested in this game. I know you were just playing.
Yeah, that's pretty
before,
exciting. All right, yeah.
But here we go.
Okay.
I'm nervous.
Tweet number 1. Gonna go eat some chick's noodle soup and drink some fresh OJ. A little bit of a cold bug is trying to catch me, and I ain't having it.
Todd Glass. Oh, Harry Connick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I know I can't steal, but can I just take a guess?
Sure.
Will Smith.
Vivica A. Fox.
All right.
Okay, we're doing good.
We're getting this. That was
It's okay. It was a warm up. It was a warm up.
Yeah, warm
We're
up.
not doing good.
It's fine. Tweet number 2. I think Jack White and Jack Black should form a band called Gray Matter.
Hey, Paul. I'm going to say Harry Connick.
That is correct.
All right.
That is correct. On the board with 5 points. It's all right.
Fine,
Don't
just
worry
take
about
the
it.
money.
No, it's not over yet. There's a lot of
I
tweets
know,
to
I'm
go.
kidding.
A lot of tweets to go.
Lot of tweets.
Tweet number 3. Just saw a sign on the highway that said, "Fine for littering." So I dumped my trash and left. Hashtag, they said it was fine.
Todd Glass. Will Smith.
I'm sorry, no.
I'm going to kind of just guess and see.
Yes, Paul?
Harry Connick Jr.
That's correct.
I knew it.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry about it. You can easily make
A
up
lot
this
of
deficit.
tweets on. All right, yeah. Okay.
Easily
easy.
make up this deficit.
Okay.
Tweet number 4. I'm sad because I'm disappointed.
Todd Glass.
Yes.
Eva, whatever her name was.
Vivica.
No, I'm sorry.
Shut the fuck up.
Can I try? Can I try it?
Yes, Paul.
Will Smith.
You're such a show-off. Yes, that's correct. It was Will Smith.
The only reason I said her to be, I shouldn't let you onto my tricks. Well, they're not
Doesn't
great
matter to
tricks.
me.
I don't want to know your strategy.
These tweets are locked in, man. There's nothing we can do about them now.
My trick. No, you try to take my trick. It's your try.
Yes, please keep your strategy to yourself. It's working great. Tweet number 5.
I feel like
Haven't drove my Ferrari in a while. Just realized how much I miss driving her.
Paul. Will Smith? Yes. All right. That's good. That's a good.
I knew it was. I thought it was Will Smith, but then I thought you've been wrong so much. Maybe it just seems so.
I thought that could have gone Vivica too.
Could have. Any one of those 3 people could easily own a Ferrari.
Vivica.
Viv.
Viv. My Aunt Viv. I got
Will, Harry, and Viv.
Will, Harry, and Viv.
Tweet number 6. Listening to one of my favorite songs, Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Todd Glass.
Classic.
Viv.
I'm gonna buzz in. Harry Connick.
And it's not Harry Connick.
Oh.
Will Smith.
Wow, this is tough.
Smith. It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry.
I do have a plan right now that I think is going to finally work.
Okay, I want to see.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not going to tell you the scores. We don't need to go over that.
How many more tweets? This is a lot.
There's 2 more tweets
2 more.
left,
Okay.
and the last one may or may not be worth 20 points, depending on how this one goes.
I'm going to do this thing. It hasn't worked yet, but I'm going to go for it.
Tweet number 7. About to sign off, tweeps. Looking forward to a fun and blessed Sunday.
Todd Glass.
Paul.
Todd Glass.
Viv.
That's correct.
I was right.
Son of a bitch. I knew that she had to come up eventually, and I thought I fucked it up so many times. Just when you're ready to leave it, it might be the time
That's
when you
the
want to
best.
return.
Okay.
Why don't I listen to the, instead of just doing a numbers game, why don't I think about what they're saying? And then
Yeah,
maybe
you really
apply
are.
it to
Yeah, I'm
them.
just only thinking about
Yeah.
the content. You're going on the,
Yeah.
like a ratio. Like this.
Well, I wasn't in the beginning, but then I got nervous.
Well, given that there is currently a 17-point deficit betwixt the two of you,
Okay.
this tweet, it's all right, because this is the rules of the game. I forgot to mention it at the top. Sometimes the final tweet is worth 10 or 20 points.
Okay.
In this particular instance, it's going to be worth 20 points.
All right.
So
I'm going to give my money to charity.
if you
by the way.
ring it-
Yeah,
You
well,
get
please.
this
I'm
right.
definitely gonna give this Toys
just-
for Tots. I do it early. I do it when people aren't giving during not the holiday season. They need it. They need it, especially now in the.
do you give it to the Sidewalk Santas?
I give it to Toys for Tots because it gives kids like water slides for the summertime.
That's so nice of you, Paul.
Yeah, you just
You're
don't
such
do it
a
once
giver.
year.
He's
Yeah.
such a giver. Is that your 7-year-old?
That's my 7-year-old. My 7-year-old is
That's-
taken care of.
Okay, good.
With your SUV and your 56-year-old wife.
Yep. Tweet number 8. My next tweet is number 1,000. What shall I say?
Todd Glass. Harry Connick Jr.
I kind of take. I'm gonna.
No guess is necessary. That is correct!
Ah!
A thrilling come from
Wow,
behind victory.
really? The strategy
on the
paid off.
20-point question. Honestly, Todd, that's some epic playing. It doesn't matter that you got 4 wrong. It only matters that you got the last 2 correct.
Oh,
And
wow,
that's it.
look
I'm
at
so
that.
sorry, Paul.
You know what?
You played well.
No, hey, look.
You played very well.
I will take it all.
Where were you going to give it to?
Toys for Tots.
I say I'll give it to Toys
Thank you
for
so
Tots.
much.
You know what?
And you know what? I'm going to add $1 to it.
Oh, wow. Now he's just showing off. Well, that is how you play Who Tweeted, gentlemen. Well done.
Great.
Thank you
Well
Great
done.
game. Great
Oh,
game.
thank you.
Great game.
By the way,
Yes.
for the next time, I want to get you a whistle.
Was I not loud enough?
No, I just thought it would be because you look like your coach over there.
You got the clipboard. Well, back to this. Back to you.
And I want to say hello to never mind.
Viv?
No,
Hi to Viv.
Andrea?
no. Later, I'll tell you. You'll laugh.
So then this.
Kevin.
Kevin is
Kevin Pollak.
Kevin Pollak, you want to say
he's
that?
in the World Series of Poker right now.
I
right?
know.
Yes, he is. We should have mentioned earlier, Kevin is playing in the World Series of Poker as we speak. Hopefully he's
Very
destroying it, and he'll win millions and millions of dollars, and we can launch our own network, and the show will be on it.
I know Kevin for so many years, but I don't. We don't see each other that often.
Sure.
But I see him at Sarah Silverman's party once a year, and that's what we were just talking about. And whenever I smoke, I still feel like I need to find someone that's nice and kind, like that will be nurturing and like, you're okay, you're in a good area, and that's what Kevin has done for me. So I was surprised he's not really a pot smoker, right?
No. He
But-
barely drinks.
but-
He drinks he'll have a drink to be social.
But he gets into the mind of someone, and he's always great. So the first time he did it for me, I looked for him the next year, and I'm like, I'm starting. He goes, you're in good company here. He goes, I think anything you say is going to be fine. It'll be, everything's all right, and everything's going to be just fine. I'm like, oh,
I
thank
think he
you.
pulled him into a cabana or something at one point,
Yeah, I was just
in your little safe haven.
Yeah, and then he would say, you're all good, you're fine. I'm like, okay, that's what I need.
That party, Sarah Silverman has a party every year that is amazing because the cross section of people is unreal. It's just a free for all of whoa, that person's here.
I've never seen anything like it, and also just everybody is like really kind.
Oh, it's the best, and I actually got upset because this year I'm out of town when it's happening. I really felt I'm gonna miss a super because it is. Everyone's so nice and everyone's talking and sharing their different stuff. I talked to Neil Patrick Harris about magic, and it was a very animated and fulfilling conversation.
Yeah, that's the one that I got a little giddy. Yeah. I was like, that's Neil Patrick.
Well, I was excited. But this is probably not exciting for you. But to see Gary Shandling, I'd never seen Gary Shandling.
That's another
before.
one, yeah.
And and I was like, oh, it's so that party is just a very fun time. Now, you are an author now. This is.
I don't.
What brought this about? Like, why now? Why the book? Like I'm always interested in why people go off to write a book. This is about your life. This is not comedic essays. This is just your whole career is in here.
It's probably like 50%. After I was on Marc Maron, that's it's so weird. I keep saying, "Come on, get over it," and I do need to. And when I was on Marc Maron, I came out.
Sure.
But
I understand the idea though too, like not to be. You haven't been identified with that all the time, so why have to put it in front of you?
Where I feel like I want to get in these interviews, and I should, is at least just say it. You came out, just say it, and then go back to why it's difficult for you, but just spit it out. And seeing Michael Sam and seeing Anderson Cooper a few nights ago on television referencing it has made me go, come on, Todd. They're doing it. You
could just say, because
just say it. Stop this shit already.
Well, the real question, this is actually from Kevin too. Why did you come out on Marc Maron's show, not on this show?
Because I don't. Look at you were reading anything. Because of the nature of what he dealt with. 100%. And besides, knowing that would be better for my own life, even though I had convinced myself that my friends knew and my parents knew, and there were enough people that knew this is just maybe the way I live my life.
And that was a great interview because I feel like I had, at least in my experience, I had never heard a perspective from someone that had your attitude, like, and that sense of like the busting out of the shed, like that, it was a different perspective of someone coming out and talking about their story. I just thought it was a very unique story.
I appreciate that, and that's sort of what Simon & Schuster said, that normally that coming out story isn't something they would be interested in.
Yeah.
But because of the details and the years of hiding it in the comedy community, and again, I always say this out of paranoia because I know there's still one person that likes saying this.
Yeah.
The only thing I wrote down on that interview, what I knew Mark would lead me down the right path.
Yeah.
I had nothing written down. And by the way, let me answer one question so I don't forget. The reason why was I knew it would make me breathe easier, and I knew that hopefully it would. A lot of people that listen to podcasts and go out to comedy shows are a lot of younger kids, and I thought if I hide it, it gives validity that it's something worth hiding.
Exactly.
So I thought, and the reason I thought on Marc Maron was not only just to say that I was, to admit that I was gay, was I thought I had something to say. I thought I could clear up some things now, but from an honest perspective, and still just saying, I'm straight, but I'm really open-minded, which there's a ton of people that are straight and open-minded, but some of the passion, you have to admit where it comes from.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I thought I could do that on that show.
And you felt, I've heard that after that interview too, it was a very, I think, especially in the comedy world too, like a very shattering, like, whoa, this is like, I think, I imagine a tremendous amount of support came out.
Everybody was, that's when I go back to loving comedians, because obviously, first of all, there were a lot of warm people that have my cell phone number, maybe I'd worked with on the road, maybe someone had my email, really warm texts and emails, like short, warm, but just awesome, and but also the jokes were hilarious, just not the jokes you would think, just like so funny. But the other thing that I think, maybe not out of paranoia, there is a group of people, and it's a weird group, because they are so open-minded, and they genuinely are. I'm not going to debate whether they're open-minded. Really, from their heart, they don't give a shit. Who cares? Genuinely. That they might lose some compassion of how I got to the point where I hid in the closet. There's a lot of people that go, who cares? Like from Affectionate Place. Like, why is Todd? Nobody cares. Like, literally, and you want to go, no, you please let me explain, because you can't explain to everybody. Yeah. And I've said this on a few interviews, this exact thing I'm going to say to you, because I want everyone to go, oh, for those people who feel that way. I didn't start hiding in the comedy community. I started as a 12-year-old. I started as a 12-year-old, and then I got comfortable in the lie. And then even though I knew everybody knew, I still got comfortable in the lie. So that's why.
And I also feel like it's different times. There's a million different things that I can imagine play into it too. At a certain point, it's, and I feel like, do you feel that now that you have that out there, has there been different things that have come to you because of that? Like, do you feel like, has it opened up doors for you besides like personally? Like, has it been like, have you done different, I don't know if I'm
I think it has. I thought it, like, in my act, there were certain things that I wouldn't talk about because I perceived it. Even though I'm not talking about my relationship, I don't really have any of those jokes yet, and that might never be anything I talk about. But it still opened the door to things that I didn't talk about in my act because I perceived them not to be masculine.
Right.
So I go, hey, look, I've admitted that.
Right.
So what am I going to hide that I like to look at a set table?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I like, and the other thing that's, you know what I mean? Like anything that was perceived to be feminine, you know. So I talk about that stuff on stage now, you know, like so it did open the floodgates of more being honest on stage, and it's much better, you know.
And then was this a fun experience getting this down, like and getting the like writing, like I mean, this is now a book. You have a book. This is like, I always feel like, regardless of everything else you do, like, there's a legitimacy. I feel like if you do a Broadway show, like, or you write a book, like you've accomplished something in like the world of like show business. Like,
yeah, you know what? It was a great experience because I think if I sat down to you know, figure out my life, it would have been overwhelming.
Right.
So since that was never my goal, I was writing a book. I never went, oh, and I'll figure out my life and why I am who I am.
Yeah.
And everything will make sense. And I don't mean trying to make it make sense.
Right.
Like where you go, oh, what the fuck? That's why I do that. That's what happened. Sitting down with Jonathan, everything started to make sense. And one of the biggest things was, look, I'm not trying to say I'm a saint because I'm not. And I always say, I steal hotel towels. You know what I mean? Like I'm not perfect. I cheat on my taxes. And a few times over the years when they forgot to put something on my bill at the grocery store, I didn't say anything. So I'm not trying to set myself to be a saint. But what I do is I do speak up for people. Like if I'm somewhere and I see somebody at the grocery store or at a hotel, and I don't mean if someone's being a little rude, they're trained to handle that, but I mean, no. I always speak up. And I've always said, I do good on that show, what would you do? I do good on it. And I thought, that's why. Because so many years of sitting around, let's try to be positive. Forget about when nobody said anything. If I was at a dinner table when I was 17 and someone talked about something like gay marriage, or, well, back then they didn't even discuss that, or AIDS or whatever. And it was never anything egregious. I never heard anybody in my social circles going, fuck faggots, I would, you know. No, but even the middle things, when somebody said something, and I remember people saying something, and it didn't have to be like I say, they didn't have to stand up at a Thanksgiving dinner and get to a podium and make a 3-hour dissertation. Right. It could have been so quick. I remember like a second cousin of mine, somebody said something, and he said, what year is this? Very quickly to go, I just want you to know, I'm done. It was almost after that, what year is this? Pass the mashed potatoes. Like going, I'm done lecturing, but I wanted you to know. And if you hear what year is this, if that guy that said that hears it enough, he'll stop saying it. Yeah. So, but I remember that dinner, somebody spoke up. Somebody fucking said something. So I go, that's why you speak up, because you know what it's like to not have people speak up, and you know what it's like to have people say something. So that type of thing, sort of. Does that make sense?
No, it 100% makes sense.
Yeah. Todd, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was playing Candy Crush over here for a while. Did I hear you say you were gay?
No, like happy.
Oh, okay.
No,
go back to this.
Like
sorry,
happy.
guys.
That was also the big joke that my friends would be like when they read the book. They would go, Todd, I didn't know you never told me you were a comedian. All right.
Now you just did a series that like I'm sorry, and now I'm forgetting the name of it, right? Because we've just been in this conversation. You just did a series that you were the star of, right? I pull up my IMDb.
It's called Last Comic Standing. It was a while ago. Tell us about it again.
I'll look at it. I'm going to tell you right now.
That's okay.
I'm going to tell you right now. Sorry, everybody.
That's what's good. Hey, we're all.
And while I'm looking this up, let's take a look at Kevin Pollak, who is at the World Series of Poker. There he is, right there.
Oh, he sent a picture. Look at that.
He should have sent video.
Kevin.
What's wrong with him?
Kevin, is that you? Or you say something? Come on, Kevin. He looks so happy.
Still looks happy.
He's always happy.
Oh, the buffering gag. Look at you.
It was. I'm sorry. The short film that you made. So that was is there. Right, so that was that's something. Does that?
Oh, the short film was. Yes. You know what? It's so funny. After I thought it had such a crystal clear message, but once in a while when I look at the comments, it's like, I think this is what you're talking about. We always said that if you said to somebody, hey, your child, someone that was really giving their kids a tough time for being gay, right? You know what I mean? They're like, not letting them into the family, just whatever it is. If you said to that person, I could have your kid killed. I'll get him killed for you. They'd be like, no. Right. But indirectly what they're saying is, oh my God, I am not thrilled that my child is gay, but I'm not going to fucking kill him. but I will slowly shred him from any dignity and make him take his own life.
Right.
And then I feel like the only way to stand up on that is to go, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
I wouldn't kill my son if I slowly make him feel less than and not worthy, and then he takes his own life. That's completely different. Now, is there a difference? Yes, there's a fucking difference. But when it's put that way, maybe it doesn't seem like it's anything you should pride yourself on. No, we slowly made him feel like what he was
we will
normal.
Judge him over the course of years,
and we had
wreck everything.
And he took his own life. That please, how dare? So that was the video we shot. It was a mom and a dad at a party, and somebody said, "Hey, didn't you kill? Did you? I think they whispered it. Didn't you kill your son?
Right.
I think they killed their son because he was gay." And they overheard, and with all the, "How dare you? We didn't kill our son." And that's how it unfolded.
Right.
But, I think the comments that you read sometimes, because overwhelmingly they're unbelievable.
Sure.
They really are.
The comments are a cesspool for terribleness. I mean, ultimately, you're going to find the worst of humanity.
But I always try to end, you also overwhelmingly find decent, great, loving, kind people. Mm-hmm. But I think, in a weird way, I think those people that write those bad comments were always there. They just didn't have an anonymous place to do it. So I think they're, even though they might get upsetting, I think they're good to read. And especially for people, sometimes when people get in their own social circles, they forget that that's not the real world.
100%.
And that's to be commended, that you've circled yourself with these awesome people.
Yeah.
But those comments, that's the world. That's 100%. Some of the world. That's some of the world.
And I feel like, there are comments you can read that are critical versus abusive. And I think that's the fine line of certain things. Because sort of like, I didn't like this, or this is how I feel about this. And you can, but then they're on like, fuck you, and that's like, well, you could just push that over here.
Some of them on that were like things like, if someone takes their own life, you can't blame someone else. And I'm like, if you want to say that about an adult, okay, still a lot of people would still have empathy. But when you're talking about a child that takes his own life because, come on, how can, and then somebody writes that, but guess what? That's what they thought, and they're not the only one that doesn't get it, you know what I mean? So, but anyway.
So now, you got the book, you've done this, now what are the next things that you're, like, on the horizon for you? What do you want to be working on and doing?
Well, if I had my dream, I would, I've always said I just want to do stand-up. Like if that was my career, like a Brian Regan, who just goes out and tours, I would love that. I would love a tour bus, and I would love the tour. That's all I want in life,
See, that's such an interesting thing, because like that idea of just being on the road. So you like that idea of just being away from your house and just being on the road,
I don't want to be on the road like 52 weeks a year, but I wouldn't mind heading out for tours, coming back home, and then also I love being at home and seeing my friends and everything. But I do love the idea of going out on tours. I've never done my own tour on a tour bus. I've toured with other people on their tour bus.
You toured with you toured with David Spade, right?
I did for a long time. Yeah, we still do some dates together, but like he never does the tour bus thing. Okay. But Sarah Silverman has, and David Cross has, and Louis C.K. and Daniel Tosh. They all have done tour buses with them, and it's everything. Have you ever done a tour bus?
I've been on a tour bus, not for a long period of time, and it's the best. It is the best. It's everything that you want.
What was the situation that you...
We did a tour bus for, oh my gosh, I feel like it was maybe around Human Giant time or something like that. We had gotten just for a little thing, and it was so fun, and I wanted to do more of that.
Did you sleep on it, or did you?
No, we didn't sleep. We stayed at the hotels. That's what I want to do. The sleeping ones look amazing.
It's every time I've been on one, everybody stays in the hotel. Well, also we're not on a tour bus with like bands. I get it. There's 20 people. We're with 3-4 people.
Exactly.
A road manager.
So you just pull in and
and everyone gets into the hotel. But I'd stay on the tour bus because I'm like, I've had my friends come see me on the road all the time at hotels, and but after the show I'd be like, hey, I'm in the tour bus. So we'd go to the tour bus.
It's the best. It's so again. It's like another like a trope of show business. Like I have a tour bus.
It's so I want one so bad. So, but in the meantime, I what's on the horizon for me now is I'm trying to turn that into a show.
Okay.
Called the Todd Glass Situation.
Yeah.
The reason it's called the Todd Glass Situation was that was a name that people would say, hey, blah blah blah's coming into town. Do they know about you or my friends? And I would go, no, they don't know about my situation. So my friends were like, is that what they call that? A situation? Like that was my name for saying it. So just the Todd Glass Situation.
So this would be, the show would take place like right after, or like with it like?
Good question. It would go back about probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And the way I pitched it, was a lot of people, when they hear like that someone's in the closet or they're hiding it, they hear it, but they don't really know what that means.
Right.
Like hiding it, you just hear that word. Yeah, hiding means you don't tell your friends, but you don't know the plate spinning that goes on.
Yeah.
But my dream show is we had sold it to Comedy Central,
right.
and we wrote a script, and we just sort of. We had and I'm not just saying this to say it, like, I still really like a lot of those people over there, and if I'm at a party and I see them in the corner, I want to go over. But we saw completely different on the eye to eye what I wanted.
Yeah.
My fantasy was, not because I was trying to hide the part of it that I lazily call the gay part, or was embarrassed about it or anything. I wanted very little bit of it, even, especially on the first episode.
Yeah.
I wanted to just establish myself, like, you know, I owned a bar, that's what it was, in a restaurant. I'm very meticulous the way I ran it, but there'd be little things that would happen in it because it didn't run my life.
Right.
If I had to say the percentage of it of every day, most days it was about 15% of my day or 10% of the day. Hey, by the way, if the show got on the air, there'd be shows that would have more to do with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want it, I wanted it to just be like my regular life.
But that's, I think, an interesting thing because also now you're not like, I don't think that you would want to be labeled like if I'm walking in murky territory, tell me, but like you don't want to be like a gay comedian where you're like just doing gay, like, you know, like that's not what you, like, you are a comedian and you make jokes and it's like it's not like I'm like not a heterosexual, you know.
No, you're 100% right, and you're in great territory because it's something I talk about a lot, and I think it's the same thing that other comedians want to follow through. If you're black or you're Chinese, should you talk about that in your act? Yes, it's part of your life, but you don't want it to be all you talk about.
Exactly.
And no, I don't want it to be all I talk about, but the show would definitely deal with some stuff,
right? And
it would be what really happened in our world. It could be, like, I always fantasize on the first episode that we didn't talk about it at all, except 2 times, and they would echo things that happened in my life because we always had to hide it. One of them would be the whole show goes on, nothing's talked about, maybe 15 minutes into the show, maybe, you know, my partner would say something to me like, don't wear that shirt.
Right.
And I'd be like, why? He goes, eh. And then people would walk over and we changed the conversation.
Right.
Could have been 2 friends.
Yeah.
Then we finished, then the show goes on, just like my regular life would have. And then at the end of the first episode, I fantasized that this is when people would definitely know what was going on.
Yeah.
So maybe, like what I just said before, somebody would say, out of nowhere, they would be like, hey, your parents are coming in. Do they know that you and Todd are like? And then Chris would go, no, they don't know at all. And they're like, how do they not know? They go, that was it. That's my regular life.
And it's and what I kind of love about that too is it's like, I think it's a fun thing for that audience who doesn't know the situation to go, whoa, wait, I just watched this whole thing, and that's because I think that's a very important thing for people to see as well. It's like, this is, everything is equal. My life, your life, everybody's life is equal. But then I think they would be so blown away by that.
Well, you're right. It's the same problems. And by the way, on other shows there would have been other things that we could show.
Yeah.
But the show had to have guts to be funny all by itself. I just wanted that to be a layer of the show. But you know, there's so many things that happen that, like, even when, you know, the person I was with, we'd realize it was so pathetic. Like, you know, we would have people over and we'd have something that we perceived to be like too feminine out.
Right.
So it'd be like, put that away. You know, and he's like, come on, put that away. It looks gay. And I'd be like, shut up, it doesn't look gay. And then we'd be like, you know what looks gay? 2 guys our age living together. And then, but we'd laugh at it. We were like, oh, we're so, like, we knew it. We were, so for them to see, you know, the plate spinning, I still think, and I hope it would be a great show. I still hope I get to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea.
You pitched it to BET, right?
What?
You pitched it to BET?
That's
or CMT.
That's where we're hoping.
CMT.
We're hoping for the
you run
logo.
Patti LaBelle. You run from Patti LaBelle's restaurant. Now it's time for T5, right?
T5. Yes.
Or
we have a T5. Do you have one? I have one ready for you.
No, go for it.
No.
All right, great. T5. All right, so what I'm going to ask you right now is very quick either ors. You tell me, I'm going to give you, you know, so it would be like the idea of like a vanilla or chocolate. You would just say what you like.
Okay.
So here we go. T5. Here we go. Bits or jokes?
Bits.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Prepared or improv?
Prepared.
Okay. Ooh, wow.
And then I can improv off of the prepared stuff. I know that wasn't a quick answer.
Podcast host or guest?
Both.
Okay.
Sophie's choice.
Host or guest?
Host.
Yeah, right, sure. Podcast or touring?
Touring.
Pat's or Geno's?
Oh,
That's a tough one.
Geno's. But I don't like.
I did it. You done it. It's locked. It is locked. Take 5.
Okay, can I give a longer? Oh, we have to go, right?
No, we can give a longer answer to that.
Well, first of all, I know the reason two reasons that now I don't want to say Geno's, because I know some of their egregious behavior, with some of the, with people that couldn't speak English, although they're assholes to everybody.
Isn't it the worst when a place that makes something amazing is also terrible? Like it's like, I mean, obviously there's Chick-fil-A and Geno's and there's Target, all these places that you go to, and there's like, look, I've bought many a Morona short at Target, and then you'd be like, oh, well, it's pretty dark over there.
When they find out the backstory.
Yeah, it's like, it's the worst because you like, and then you have to,
I know the whole Chick-fil-A thing really quickly is that because some people do battle with it. Like, is it okay to buy it? And here's the scenario I throw out at people, and then I do want to answer that Geno's thing really quick. I know we're closing here. Is that if somebody came up to you on the street, now, by the way, if you think that, gay marriage is wrong and you're not for it, you eat at Chick-fil-A, well, obviously, that's fine. Sure. I don't have a problem. By the way, that doesn't even, that's sad those people think that way, but the logic follows through. You agree with their logic, and then you buy their food. So people go, well, Todd, aren't you upset that they agree with the logic? Yeah, but it's not as upsetting to me as someone that doesn't agree with it, but they love chicken sandwiches so much. If somebody came up to you in the street and said about any group, they went, let me tell you something, fuck women. They should fucking be where they were years ago. And fuck gay people too, they shouldn't get married. You hear me? You want to buy a chicken sandwich from me? What would you say?
Yeah, you say no.
No, of course you'd say. No one would go, oh, I love chicken sandwiches so much. I don't know. Now, anybody listening to this goes, I know it makes sense. Look at it that way. Even though you don't see.
It's a chicken fucking sandwich. I mean, at the end of the day. And I think the thing that probably speaks to me always is you do a little bit of due diligence, and a lot of these places that are gigantic corporations have some, maybe not always as big as that. It also makes you go, you gotta look at where you're buying your stuff from. Just because it tastes good, just because it's convenient, just because it's cheap, doesn't always mean that they're these wonderful people running these places either. It's it makes you be a little bit not respectful, but smart about what you're doing, in all aspects. Because
and you can't be perfect, and I get it. There's going to be corporations that do things you don't know about. But to me, the reason that really perplexed me the most was because they're a corporation that indirectly said, let's say the CEO of the company or their accountant goes, you can feel your way you do, but you can't say it out loud. I'm telling you, it's and he went, no, it isn't. Fuck that. I'm going to say what I feel. Then the world's not going to. My chicken sandwiches are so good. Even people that don't agree with me, they'll buy them. And he went, I'm telling you, you're wrong. You're going to go under. Yeah. And he was right. He was right.
And that is, I 100% agree with you. He was wearing it 100%.
I don't have to hide it.
And
I don't have to hide it.
Rallies at Chick-fil-A to be like.
Well, the rallies didn't bother me at all because again, they were the people that agreed with them.
Right. They're like, we're on this side, so we're giving our money to this.
So that's an awesome thing. Right, I think that's what you should do. Again, even though we both disagree with it, that was awesome that they rallied. But I think forget about changing people's beliefs. Forget about that. That's too monstrous. Let's just say if all the people that didn't agree, not that we have to change their beliefs, they already don't agree with their beliefs, didn't buy chicken sandwiches, they'd feel it like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
when I drive, there's one out here in Los Angeles, and it's right in the center of Hollywood. It's right
that's
there.
That's what I thought. I thought that one's gonna go out under. That's exactly what I thought.
And I look at it every day. I'm like, what the fuck? It's packed. Yeah, it drives me. I'm always but you know what? It's the same thing. It's it's funny how people just don't. Push it out. I love those chicken sandwiches.
But the problem is have you been into the one in Hollywood, by the way?
No, I've not.
No, you haven't. I was there once before that. The whole thing happened. And here's the problem with that one. It's not that they're people who are anti-gay. It's they're wildly uninformed people who have no idea what's going on and don't even realize by setting foot in there that they're unconsciously making a statement of, oh, I support this bigot. They don't even realize. And that's the problem, is there's not enough awareness of what you were saying before, is these big corporations that people support, you have no idea what they're doing with the money.
My family lives back east. They had no idea that this was even going on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah,
like,
but there are people that...
They're like, we don't even know what you're
And there are
talking
people,
about.
there are people who are willing, and it's like, I know, but I know I'm bad. Like that's the thing I don't like too. Is like, don't own, like. I don't like that owning of it. Like it's like the cutesy owning of it. Like, but it's so good. It's like,
that's what I say. Like people that put their shoulders up and go, just because I like whatever it is. Like I go, I don't think gay people should get married. And they put their shoulders up and they go, or I don't want a woman as a doctor. Whatever it is, they always put their shoulders up. We my friends do that, where they go, does it make me sexist because I don't want a woman doctor? Hey, you can crank your dumb shoulders up all you want. I'm so cutesy.
It's like a cutesy baby.
What are you doing? Yes, it does. What do you think? You're gonna scare me with your shoulder movement? Like I'm gonna go? I guess it doesn't. The answer is, does it?
But they're like kind of infantile.
Yes.
Because they're infantile. Like they're making themselves like a baby. They're like, well, but you wouldn't hurt me because they're like chicken. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you dummy.
I wouldn't want my daughter to marry a black guy. Does that make me prejudiced? Yes. Are you seriously, like, just be prejudiced, but at least know what it is. Are you really the epitome of idiots that you're prejudiced and you don't know what it fucking is to be prejudiced?
I hit somebody with my car and I just kept on driving. I'm sorry.
Funny bit.
Do we have questions for Twitter? Or do we have to?
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
What was the question?
It was the T5.
T5.
And well, to be clear, we had other ones, but they were really bad.
Okay, all right. Well, I feel like did we do everything that we need to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception, we have to close the.
Yes, this is a very important thing. So. If you are a fan of the show, everyone who watches the show knows that you have to end the show. Every guest has to do a bad Larry King impression where you reveal a little bit too much about yourself and then go to the phones. So it would be like, and the way you would do it is...
Somebody told me about this, and we got good at it. Now I'm getting nervous that I forgot about it. So you reveal a little...
you'd be like, I once shaved my cat to make him look like a human. Pacoima, go! So you would just say and Larry King revealing something about something about his life, and then going right to the phones. Does he have to look into?
Yeah, you got to look right down the barrel of your camera.
Yeah.
Sometimes I shit with my pants on. Lisa in Rancho Cucamonga.
Amazing. The book is The Todd Glass Situation. You can listen to Todd's podcast. What day does it come out on the Nerdist?
Friday on the Nerdist, The Todd Glass Situation.
And it's awesome. It's one of my favorite podcasts, as much as this one is too. Thank you to you guys for watching. Thank you guys for all your help. Thank you.
It was very enjoyable.
Really fun. And buy this book. You can get this. And do you do the audiobook?
I did, but I didn't read it. And the only thing I wish I would have done was gave an intro. Like, hey, this is Todd. I know I'm not going to read my own book because I'm not. If you asked me to read it, I could read a page, but I don't retain. So I had someone else read the book.
Who did you pick? Who it was?
I was a guy that had seen me do stand-up, and we talked, and I was actually happy that we talked. His name is Oliver.
Okay.
And he gave me a few different ways he could read it, like 3 or 4, and I picked the one way, which was his most natural voice.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a good job.
All right. That's even better. You can listen to it and you can hear somebody else.
One other thing, Simon & Schuster's going to punch me. The original title I wanted the book to be could be All I Ever Wanted to Do Was Meet a Nice Girl with a Terminal Disease. If you buy the book, you'll find out why.
Ooh, I like that. Give it up for Todd Glass.
All right, Todd Glass. And for you.
And for me. Thank you, guys. Now we just...